This episode of Sportish is sponsored by the Active Industry First Start Traineeship Program, funded by the Queensland Government. Hello and welcome to Sportish, where we look at life through the lens of sport. My name is Georgie Trickett.
And I am Libby Trickett.
And this is another episode of our Teen Athlete series where we pull in experts from...
People much smarter than us, Georgie.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. We pull them in and we talk to them about the issues that we know are hitting our group chats and the sidelines of sport, and we have no doubt they're connecting with you as well. And our next guest, Libby, knows a thing or two when it comes to wellbeing. Sharyn Donaghy is the General Manager of Wellbeing at the Australian Netball Players Association, leading athlete wellbeing and pathway programs across Australia's elite netball system. She is also a career practitioner service provider for the Australian Institute of Sport, supporting Olympic, Paralympic, summer and winter athletes to navigate their career and life beyond sport.
With a background in education and athlete development, Sharyn is passionate about helping young people thrive through sport. She's currently undertaking psychology study with a focus on athlete well-being and the developmental experiences of young athletes, drawing on extensive experience across schools, elite sport and athlete development pathways. Sharyn is committed to creating environments that support athlete well-being, which we love, personal growth, positive mental health, and sustainable success both on and off the field. Yes.
Sharyn, well-being is a common word, but it's also a bit of a nebulous word. Like, what does well-being actually mean with the work that you do?
It's such a complex, really, concept. And with the elite athletes, how we look at it is it's the whole human approach. So, yes, they're in their respective sports, but we look at everything outside of their sports. So we look at their mental health, their career development. Do they have dual careers? How's their financial literacy? How's their connection, social connections? How's their spiritual connections? How's their sleep? So it's really individualised and it's looking at the whole person. So some athletes will come in and we know straight away they need a mental health referral and we'll refer them on to a psychologist. Some will be absolutely fine, and it might be that we put them into financial literacy, professional development. So it's very, very individualised.
I love the idea that this is so kind of at the forefront of people's minds now, the whole athlete, because that is something when I was competing absolutely was not at the top of anyone's mind.
Yeah.
It was all about performance and specifically sports psychology was all about performance, whereas this is really taking into account someone's whole being, and I really love that. When we're talking about mental health and well-being, they can kind of be used interchangeably. Is there a difference between mental health and well-being?
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the most clear-cut way is the credentials. So the well-being space isn't really a regimented space, whereas from a psychology perspective, there are a lot of credentials that go into that space. So a well-being professional mostly have backgrounds in your education and then go on and do further well-being training, whereas psychology, you've got your 6 years credentials. It is a new space. We're doing it really well. Nationally, from the AIS are doing amazing things in this space. The athletes really understand it. The wellbeing professionals really understand it. What we're really pushing for is to implement it into high-performance teams because, as I'm sure you're very well aware, Libby, is if everyone in the environment understands the importance of the whole athlete, you're going to get a better athlete.
Can I ask as well, because obviously this is more maybe targeted at elite athletes.
Yeah.
How important is it to try and get it even further down the chain into youth athletes, young people?
Yeah. And this is a real passion project, and it's the focus of my research that I do. Because what we see with the elite athletes that they come through, they're missing the foundational skill sets that they need to thrive outside of their respective sports. And at the elite level, what I'm constantly doing is having the conversation around how you build self-efficacy, so the belief in yourself to be a person outside of your sport. And so if we can embed these practices in the young athlete, the young human.
Young person,
the young
yes.
human, they're going to be so much better off. And it doesn't matter. Their Joe Bloggs, the human, not Joe Bloggs, the soccer player, 400-metre runner, swimmer. So we just need to change that narrative and we need everyone on the same page. And I understand the grassroots, there's volunteers everywhere. It's hard to get that education. But if we start the education first and foremost with the young people and the parents, guardians, they're the two key people that we target.
When you start that education, what are the core components that you're talking to kids and families about?
Yeah, so really good point. When I tend to work with schools and a lot of sporting organisations around, we talk about you, the human, and we talk about, especially in school kids, they've got so many competing priorities. They're at school, they've got their academics. At school, they've got their sport. At school, they've got their co-curricular. And even saying that out loud, that's quite overwhelming. So it's really, we talk about mental health and the importance of who is in my support system. If I'm not feeling 100%, what does that look and feel like for me? Who are my support systems at school, at sport, and at home? Maybe it's not parents, guardians, because my two kids, I'm sure they're not going to come to me all the time, as we know. So who is in their support network? I think that's the first and foremost. And then if we need to triage and get additional support after they've reached out to their support person, that's brilliant, and you can go on and do that. So mental health is key. Time management and planning and organisation, I think, is really important. So with those competing priorities, a lot of our young athletes, they have school, they have club, they have rep, and then if they've got state, and then if they've got nationals, that is a lot.
Yeah.
And so not only do you have time management, you've got load management, and then you've got your nutrition as well. So really mapping out and planning. And so as our family, we sit down on a Sunday night and we'll map out the week. But leading into term 3, as a family, we'll sit down and map out the term for what sports do we actually have? What do we have for rep? What do we have for school? What do we have for club? And then we'll speak to the actual school and let them know what we have to really manage the load. I think that's a missing piece, that load management piece. And I know that you've got someone coming in to talk about this, and it's a really important piece. We don't want to overload our young kids. And I know everyone wants a piece of them, but it's about bringing the ecosystem that's around the young person and educating everyone on what actually their load is. So if, for example, my son, he'll go to one of the 2 school training sessions that's required, and then he'll go to his 3 other sessions, and then so on and so forth. So it's really around that education piece. So I guess back to your question, the mental health, the foundation, understanding what's in it, management, the goal setting. Amazing sports psychologist that I worked with in an organisation, Alira Rogers, the goal setting piece of good, better, how, rather than the SMART goals and doing all of that. It's too much for these young people. So what did I do well? What do I want to do better? How am I going to do this? You can do that after a game. You can do that after training. You can do that. Yeah, it is so simple. And it doesn't have to be with sport. It can be with any facet of their life as well. It can be with their schoolwork, etc. So the goal setting piece is another important piece as well. And then we touch on the feelings of angst when they're competing as well. And we go in around the importance of feeling something and what anxiety actually is and how it shows itself and presents itself. And we talk about just some basic strategies that they can utilise to alleviate a little bit of those.
I want to ask another question about like the performance side and getting ready to compete. But I wanted to ask a question about any pushback that you might have from the community around the teenagers who are coming through, because, you know, when we were younger, it was just like, harden up and, you know, have a cup of concrete and move on. Whereas there's so much that we consciously are thinking of now as parents that sometimes I think it's easier just to fall back into old mindsets of like, let's just harden up and get on with it.
Yeah.
Do you get much pushback from coaches or administration or parents when you're talking about this wellbeing piece?
Yeah, I think everyone recognises the importance of it. It's the implementation of it that's lacking a little bit. especially parents. Sometimes we need to educate them on letting go of their ego and allowing the young person in front of them to be who they are. They are not a replica of themselves, which is tricky and it's tough, and I understand it. But it's really an education piece.
And also don't do it.
Far out. Leave it. I've got so many anecdotal stories that I could tell in that space where it's still around and it's still shocking, and still to this day. At the athletics track, probably a month or so ago, my son was like, "Don't do it, Mum. Don't say anything." And I'm like, okay, I'll keep my mouth shut. But it's still prevalent. Coaches, they're the ones we really need to educate in this space. There are some coaches that are doing it and doing it really well, and they see the individual human in front of them. Some not so much. And like we said previously, they're volunteers, most of them. They're giving up their time. They want to see these young people succeed, and we get it. In a perfect world, the coach would understand everyone that's in front of them, understand if there's any neurodivergence, understand how to work with the neurodivergence, understand the cultural diversity that we have as well, and really know how to communicate and connect with these young people. That's blue sky thinking, absolutely. So in answer to your question, yes, there is still pushback, and I know it comes from a really good place, but I challenge parents to really understand the young person that they have in front of them.
You work a lot with elites, but you're also in schools, and we sometimes hear parents say, "My child's not in the A's or the B's. Is it actually really worth them playing sport?" What does the research tell you about sport, particularly in those teen years?
Yeah. Critical. Sport isn't only physical. You've got your social, your emotional, your career trajectory as well. What we know is 50% of young females will drop out in the teenage years, which is shocking. However, what we also know is EY have just done a research survey, and they've found that 93% of C-suite executive females were not in high performance sport, were participating in sport to the end of their schooling into university and college. So sport not only develops a person physically, there's so many other facets that come along with it that allow them to grow as a human.
How much do you find performance anxiety coming into play for our young people when they're, first starting out competing? It gets quite intense quite quickly. I'm coming to understand. I feel like I didn't remember that when I was coming through myself, but it does feel like it gets really intense. So how much of a impact does that performance anxiety have on not only the kids, how they feel about themselves, but in the actual performance on the day?
Yeah, huge. What we see is the expectations are getting younger and younger and younger, as you said, and the angst that's inside of the young person is growing exponentially. So really when we get in front of our young people, what we talk about and work with is the importance to have some anxiety, and we show them the anxiety graph. If you don't have some level of arousal, you may as well stay asleep. So it's important to be excited to perform, but if you tip it over the edge, that's where things can come into play. And those are your behavioural things, your physiological and your cognitive. So we talk about and we work with and we get the kids to write down, what do they feel prior to? And some say they go quiet, some say they can't sit still, some say they can't remember the plays that the coach has told them, and that's all completely natural. And we talk about the nervous poos, and we talk about everything and wheeze and running to the toilet and playing with your hair and all of those things that are completely natural, and they're important to be there. It's when we can't control them. So then we talk about really basic strategies on how can we just control those feelings of angst and allow us to perform at our best. And to actually hear and educate the coaches, because every education that I do, I always educate the parents and guardians as well.
Amazing.
Because the athletes, they're important, but we need, at the end of the day, they're going home to parents, guardians. And if they're getting a different message, they're always going to listen to their parents, guardians as they should. So it's really important piece that we say to our parents, guardians. And I challenge the young people to say, have a conversation with your parents, guardians on how you would like them to be on the way to the game, meet, whatever it is for you, and then after. Because if your young person is feeling angsty and they're sitting in the car and they've got a parent talking at them about what they're going to do, how they're going to perform, it can just really blow up. So maybe the young person sits down with their parent and says, you know what, I really want to listen to my music and I'd just love for you to drive me there. And as a parent, sometimes that's tough. Yeah.
And sometimes it's really nice just to have a little bit of quiet time in the car.
But some young people are like, I just want to talk. And so it's really individualized. And then after the game, the coach has spoken to you. You're in the car. What do you want from your parent guardian? Some kids will say, I want to unpack. Some will say, take me to the 7-Eleven, get me the Slurpee, and I've already spoken about it with the coach. Let's move on. And then they might come back a couple of hours later and talk to you. But each child is so individual. Work it out with them before. And then with the angst, we always encourage our young people to plan the day before as well. Because if we've got that cognitive angst and we're forgetful, we don't want to become that meme where you're driving to the sport and you realise you forgot your shoes.
Oh no,
and
that's not a meme. That's my life.
That's just how we live.
So you don't want to be that. Plan. Get your young person to have autonomy over this. And this is the planning and the life skills that they're going to take into if they do go further into their sporting career. So plan the night before, have everything set out. It'll alleviate any angst, loss of sleep, whatever it is for them, that no, it's all ready to go. I've packed, I've checked, get them to do it. Don't do it yourself. Do it with them, guide them. And then, yeah, they'll be able to.
I think that's the hardest thing as parents, because like when you're thinking about becoming a parent, right, you don't think about 15 years down the track when you're trying to like tell your kid for the 50 billionth time to prepare the night before. Like we don't plan that far ahead. We just think about the baby and then it's like, oh, this is so exciting. But we as parents need to be really intentional about how we're kind of creating that space. Yeah. And I think you're right. Like it's not only going to help them if they go on in their athletic lives, but it's going to massively like assist them and support them in anything that they do. If you're, planning ahead, you're thinking about, what you want out of something, how you can do it better next time. Yeah. If you're thinking about, all of that kind of preparation, then that's only going to benefit you massively in the future.
It's interesting because you talk about that all the time, Libby, and also the fact that swimming gave you the structure that otherwise didn't exist in your life.
And as you were talking, all I could keep thinking was prior preparation prevents piss poor performance.
Yep, love it.
And like, it's just so true. Like if you are intentional about how you're applying your time and getting those structures into place, it makes a massive difference, especially if you have neurodiversity in the mix. As someone with ADHD and kids who have neurodiversity, like it makes such a difference. And it's punishing also. I just want to be clear. It's also punishing.
It's hard. And let's not beat around the bush with that. We have neurodivergence in our house as well. And it would be so much easier if I just packed the bag.
Right?
Just pack the bag and let's go. But we know that we're teaching them lessons. And then you've got your meltdowns and you've got everything else that comes with it. It's not as easy as plan ahead. It's tough.
Yes.
Let's not underestimate that at all. But like you said, even if you're in the C's or the D's or whatever it is, whatever team you're in, if you're still teaching those foundational skill sets of let's get organised the night before, let's do it together.
Let's talk to our coaches. Let's talk to our teachers. Where do we need to pull back? Where do we, need to push forward?
Yeah. And that's a really good point as well, Libby. We really encourage if our athlete isn't having a great time in their sport and things are getting challenging and they want feedback, if it's psychologically safe for them, sometimes the environment's just not safe. As parents, it's really easy to come in hot and have those conversations for our kids. But coaching the kids around how to have a conversation with the coach, go up to the coach and ask them for some time, ask them for feedback. And when you ask for feedback, I really encourage the young people to be specific around what they want feedback on. The neurodivergent people are really good at asking for feedback. And as a coach, if we're coaching neurodivergent people, you will get questions all the time. Make sure.
We laugh because we know.
Yes. Make sure that you're prepared when you're doing a drill, when you're running a skill. Why are we doing this? How do we put this in a game situation? Just little things like that. But I always encourage the young people to ask for specific feedback and be prepared that you are going to get feedback. It could hurt, but then we're teaching resilience and we say, okay, how do we implement this? What do we need to do, et cetera, et cetera.
I think that's such a good reminder because I think as parents, particularly as kids get into high school, there can be a little bit of over-parenting going on, and actually that's the most perfect time for kids to start being the ones to approach the coach and ask for feedback. But you do have to be specific and you do have to think about it and be ready to act on the feedback that you get.
Yes, because we see it a lot that young people get quite upset when they do receive the feedback. So yes, encourage your young person to ask for feedback, but prepare them that they are going to receive feedback on how they could be better at their respective sport.
Hey, Libby.
Hey, Georgina.
Have you heard about the Active Industries First Start traineeship program?
Is that the one where you get $20,000 wage subsidy for not-for-profit clubs and organisations?
Totally. I thought this was just wild and I didn't know that this existed, and I can already think of so many clubs that could benefit from this. This is a bit of money that you can use to bring someone on who's not just a volunteer, they're actually an employee of your club to help you get all the things done that you need to get done.
And are they the people who kind of haven't been in work for a while, so it helps them return to work as well?
It can be, or it can just be you converting a volunteer into somebody who can do all the doing.
Because that's the thing, you know, in all of these sorts of organisations, it relies so much on volunteers and people are so busy. And they need to be able to put together these things that help organisations take it to another level.
We want people in clubs to be able to rely on somebody to print out the spreadsheets, to organise the websites so that the people who are volunteering can get out on the court or on the field and do what they do best.
Basically, people can take advantage and all they need to do is submit an application and AQIA can actually help you with that. So head to the website or click the link in the show notes. Take advantage of this incredible opportunity.
I want to ask about what happens when you go into schools and what some of the most surprising questions are that you get from kids when you're teaching them about wellbeing.
I think what constantly surprises me is the fact that not a lot of them are owning their time management, their own calendar, what's going on. So it will be, this is this term, there you go, Freddie, and it's all ready for them because we sit down and we do planners and a lot of feedback is, I don't need to do that. That's done for me. And it's how does our young person then have the autonomy to really own this and communicate with key people off the back of that?
Where's their agency?
Yep. So that's probably the biggest. The other one, as we've referred to, is really around that over-arousal prior to competition as well. It's very prevalent. And a lot of that is preventing some kids from participating.
Do you feel like that's like the most concerning trend that you're seeing in sport?
I don't think it's most concerning.
What would be the most concerning?
I think our young people really want to have fun. If I use my son as an example, he's an athlete, a talented young athlete, enjoys sport, loves sport, but his favourite is school sport because he gets to play with his friends and have fun. And that expectation is taken away. And it's not the regimented, you know, you need to do 3 trainings, you need to do your video analysis. So it's a lot. And I think we need to remind ourselves that our kids want to have fun in sport. Let them enjoy it.
So it's almost important, even if your kid might want to pursue an elite career, give them also the opportunity to have fun, be silly.
And whilst they're still young as well, and whoever you have coming in for load management will talk about this, their bodies are changing and growing. So they need to have that element of fun to be able to adapt and learn about their new height, limbs, weight, whatever it is for them. It's really, really important for them for skill development.
Is there a message that you give to elite players that you also give to your teen athletes?
I'm very much a cheerleader in that you're a good human. I'm not going to go Ben Crow because my kids are on to me with that. They're like, don't go Ben Crow on me. We know you love watching me play.
So good.
So really around you've done the work, you know who you are, shine. But I just keep it really simple. And the mantra we use is if you're thriving off court, you're going to thrive on court.
Yeah.
And that it's really simple. I keep it very, very basic with them.
Sharyn, I reckon we could talk to you for 11 billion years on this topic. It's one of my favourite conversations to have, especially for our young people.
Yeah.
Obviously for the elite athletes, we want that as well. But it starts with the kids.
Yes, it does.
And the more that we can give them those skills and that ability and that knowledge and those resources, like they're just going to go and thrive, not only in sport, but more importantly in life. And I just love the work that you're doing. We're so grateful that you could spend some time with us on Sportish.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Georgie, I could have just spoken to her forever. I mean, it's my hyper-focus.
I just think it's incredible the work that people are doing in this space. And what has been a constant theme through this Teen Athlete series is the focus on the human.
Yes.
The human being the first point of call, whether we're talking about, elite, kids, nutrition, well-being, mental health, all of them come back to what's best for the human.
I think that's the thing that lit me up most in that chat is because that just was not a thing. It wasn't something that was even thought of back when I was trying to be an elite athlete. And the fact that not only is it in play for our current elite athletes, but the fact that they're already talking about it with our teen athletes, kids who are coming through, the fact that that's like front of mind because they recognize that we are not going to be athletes forever and that it's more important that we're, creating a whole human rather than just someone who can perform really well on the day.
And I think we can't impress enough on the listeners and the viewers that you don't have to be an elite athlete for these things to resonate. These are really important life skills that will help kids in their careers, in their family life, all those other
everything.
Things.
Like financial literacy, like the fact that they're teaching those sorts of skills, regardless of being an Olympic swimmer, gosh, tell me how to do my tax. Please.
We absolutely loved Sharyn, and we will put in our show notes all the links to where you can follow her. She's an exceptional
resource
and has exceptional resources. So please go and have a look at them.
And if you think this might be helpful for any of your friends, please share it to your WhatsApp groups. This is where we want to try and collate all of this incredible information from these amazing experts so that you can share them and so that you have better resources to draw on, better tools, better understanding of what will impact your kids.
Thank you for watching or listening to this week's episode of Sportish. You can find us on Instagram @beingsportish, also on YouTube.
All the platforms.
Spotify video, we're there too. We're everywhere.
We've been everywhere, man.
And now we need to go.
And now we're going. Goodbye.
We'll see you next week. Bye.